All right, what the hell is going on in Canadian politics? Justin Trudeau has hit, again, all-time new lows for just confidence, support in any sitting prime minister. And the guy is extremely delusional. He's going around internationally, even within our country, coast to coast to coast, as they like to say, and he's pretending as if he's not hated by the general public. The general public absolutely hates him. He's lost support in all of his strongholds. And as time goes on, you're only going to see more F Trudeau rhetoric pop up because, I mean, the shark is bleeding and everyone is finding a new political home. So there's two likely options that I see, because we've recently seen Chrystia Freeland admit, just full stop, when she was asked, is prorogation on the table? With zero hesitation, she said no. So as much as these people lie, I'm going to take that at face value and say, okay, prorogation is not on the table. So what are the other two options? Well, one is the least popular, right? The one that we don't want to happen. And that's the federal election going the distance until October 2025. Of course, I would like to see an early election, preferably before Christmas. And I'm assuming you would as well. And just correct me if I'm wrong down below in the comments. The second option is an early election, whether that's in the new year or whether that's before Christmas. Now, this is the reason that I personally think this is more likely. Jagmeet Singh has been pressing this whole narrative of we tore up the coalition, but we're not calling an early election because we can get more done without an election right now for Canadians. We're pushing for pharmacare, we're pushing for dental, we're pushing for contraceptives, all of those things. And that just got passed. That's official now. Liberals have said, look, here's our liberal healthcare plan and contraceptive plan, which is insane because that's what the NDP has been pushing. But anyways, the Liberals are literally taking all of the talking points from other parties and saying, look, we've come up with new ideas. It's insane what's really going on. But nonetheless, now it doesn't seem like Jagmeet Singh has any real reason to stick around with Justin Trudeau other than his pension. So do you think that Jagmeet Singh is going to vote in favor of an early election before his pension? Or do you think that he's going to do it after his pension? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And just click and tap that little bell notification so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos. I personally think that Jagmeet Singh, because he's past these things, he's riding the momentum of doing good things for Canadians, right? He's a man of the people. That's how he's trying to brand himself. He has probably the best chance of being reelected right now in his own riding. He has the best chance of having any form of relevancy right now because he's gotten what he's wanted. So any of his supporters are going to say, oh, look, great. He's been talking about this. It finally happened. Everything is downhill from here. So I personally think, and then you also have the bloc that have said that if we don't get what we want, we're going to call an election. So I personally think that we're going to see an election, a vote in on confidence happen in the next few weeks. That's just my own personal opinion. But let's take a look at all the data. All right, without further ado, let's get into this. So we're going to do a refresher on the polls for those who have not been caught up to speed. This is how big of a landslide victory Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party have over quite literally everybody else. You have 228 projected seats, bottom line of 200 and top end of 247. You have Justin Trudeau, who's gone down from 64, 61, down to 53. The Bloc still at 42. But they only have federally 8% popular vote, right, projection because you can only vote for the Bloc within Quebec. And then you have the NDP here, Jagmeet Singh, at 18 projected seats. So he might actually hover there. He might teeter-totter up to 19, maybe 20. And I do think that you're going to see Justin Trudeau really start to come down from 53. I think, like, just if I'm being fully transparent, honest with you guys, I think he's probably going to hit even 46, maybe 47. in the next update in the next few days. That's just my own personal opinion. And then you got 99% likely across the board for winning the most seats and odds of a majority government for the Conservatives. So that is looking good. What's also looking good, just kind of glaze over a little bit of American stuff. You have Ron DeSantis, who completely put a reporter in his place when questioned about how many tornadoes were occurring simultaneously from the Hurricane Milton.
Tornadoes?
Yeah, to increase the tornadoes in
I think you could go back and find tornadoes for all of human history for sure. And especially, Florida, how does this storm rate in kind of the history of storms? I think it hit with a barometric pressure of, what was it, about 950 millibars when it hit? Which I think if you go back to 1851, there's probably been 27 hurricanes that have had so the lower the barometric pressure, the stronger it is. I think there have been about 27 hurricanes that have had lower barometric pressure on landfall than Milton did. And of those, 17 occurred, I think, prior to 1960. And the most powerful hurricane on record since the 1850s in the state of Florida occurred in the 1930s, the Labor Day hurricane. Barometric pressure on that was 892 millibars. It totally wiped out the Keys. We've never seen anything like it, and that remains head and shoulders above any powerful hurricane that we've ever had in the state of Florida.
So this is kind of combating the rhetoric of storms are becoming more and more frequent. They're becoming, more dangerous, more lethal. And the data shows otherwise. The data is showing that, in fact, lethal storms, even forest fires have been around for forever, right? It's been ongoing. The only thing that's increased is the distribution of the content. So before, if there was a tornado or a hurricane, you saw it only on the news and in newspapers. But now it's right here on our phones all day, every day. And so it feels like it's getting crazier and crazier, but that's just because it's the distribution of it has increased. But that's my own personal opinion. I'd love to know yours. And then we got to just kind of talk about what the hell happened with Elon Musk's announcement yesterday. Like, this is some cool stuff, crazy stuff. I don't know. I'm going to leave this up to you guys to decide. These robots here. Tesla's Optimus bot. This is going to be available, I think he said in 2025, ranging from $20,000 to $30,000. This can help you with your household chores. This is a robot, by the way. This can help you mow the lawn, do the dishes, all of this stuff. Like, we're living in the future. And I was glued to this announcement when it happened. And then, of course, you've got the cyber taxi, as they're calling. So there is... They're playing Rocket League or something, or Westworld. There's no steering wheel. No steering wheel, as you can see, and it's fully autonomous. And this is what Elon Musk's future of the world looks like. So he made a massive kind of Hollywood stage. These are all fake buildings, and it's, spread over 20, 30 acres. And it's to simulate what life would look like with these new autonomous vehicles, right? And so there was passenger vehicles like this. There were vans. It's truly incredible. Also kind of scary that we're taking that leap from, us being able to manage technology to technology being fully automated. But one of the best examples that Elon Musk actually used during this announcement was elevators. There used to be every single elevator, there would be an elevator person who would manually have to bring you up and bring you down. And people did get injured because sometimes the elevator person would be, would overlook things, be too tired, whatever it is. And now we get into an elevator, we push a button, we go up and we come down. It's fully automated, and that's kind of the best example that he gave that at least I can remember. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I know a lot of people, a lot of conservatives from my understanding are like very skeptical about this, and a lot of liberals are going, yes, this is the future. So it's super interesting to see that. But again, let me know your thoughts down below. And now let's take a look at some Canadian stuff here. So David Eby who's British Columbia's premier, he's actually attempting to sue, according to Canada Proud, Elections Canada to not allow the Conservative Party of BC to list themselves as the Conservative Party on ballots for the October 19th election, basically claiming it violates the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's because you have so much momentum and hype around just the Conservative Party. So he wants to make it very clear that it's not voting or supporting the federal Conservative Party, and that's why he wants it to be the Conservative Party of BC on the ballot and not Conservative Party. Again, I feel like that's just a bit of a reach. I mean, unless he is the NDP Party of BC on a ballot, I don't really see the issue, but that's just NDP, liberals, radical left-wing people. They just find ways to I guess, complain about things when it doesn't go their way. Anyways, let's shift things over to the center of Canada here. The gravitational pull of Canada. You have Toronto. So the mayor of Toronto, Olivia Chow, she is under immense amount of fire and pressure from Jewish groups that are urging her to resign after she missed the ceremony or the vigil for the victims of the October 7th attacks, the terror attacks on Israel, which is kind of crazy because every politician, like from coast to coast to coast, every single person that's in politics, left wing, right wing, centrist, doesn't really matter. Federal, provincial, municipal, everybody was pretty much under unanimous, it was just a unanimous decision. Everyone is going to attend their local vigils to support, the commemoration, I suppose, of the victims that died 1 year ago on that date. And the fact that the mayor didn't do that in Toronto is kind of crazy. But again, she was probably off dancing at a drag queen bar like she has done in the past. Now we're coming back a little bit more west here with a very interesting scene in Calgary where it looks like, we don't know the reason, a woman chases a man in a parking lot, bear maces him, and then runs into her own cloud of bear mace. And then it looks like they might get into a fight, and then nothing happens. So I feel like something might come of that unless there was tangible reasons to use the bear mace. That's actually assault with a weapon, which is a huge deal in Canada. But again, we're going to have to just wait and see how that plays out. Now we're going to glaze over what's happening with the TD Bank scandal, because this is huge. $3 billion, ladies and gentlemen. TD Bank is being sued for $3 billion. It's a successful lawsuit. So you even have the American feds are talking about this.
Today, TD Bank pled guilty to multiple felonies, including conspiring to violate the Bank Secrecy Act and commit money laundering. TD Bank has also agreed to a $1.8 billion criminal penalty. Combined with civil enforcement actions announced today by other agencies, the United States will be imposing a total of approximately $3 billion against TD Bank. TD Bank created an environment that allowed financial crime to flourish. By making its services convenient for criminals, it became one. Today, TD Bank became the largest bank in U.S. history to plead guilty to Bank Secrecy Act program failures and the first bank in history to plead guilty to conspiracy to commit money laundering. This is also the largest ever penalty under the Bank Secrecy Act and the first time the Justice Department has assessed a daily fine against a bank. As part of the plea agreement, TD Bank will fundamentally restructure its corporate compliant program at its U.S.-based bank, which is the 10th largest in the United States. The bank has also agreed to the imposition of a 3-year monitorship and a 5-year term of probation. While the bank has started its remediation, it will continue to remediate and improve its anti-money laundering compliance program to ensure that the bank operates lawfully and safely moving forward.
Yeah, that's not good. And I feel like a lot of people that bank with TD or even people that invest with TD are going to be pretty pissed. I'm sure everyone who's got any affiliation with TD, either through banking or investing, is already aware of the news. But yeah, not a good look for TD, not a good look for Canada at all. I'd love to know your thoughts on this down below, and especially if you have any affiliation to TD, whether it's banking or investing. Are you selling your TD stocks? Are you moving your banking out of there? Just let me know what you guys think down below. And now you have Canadian Liberal MPs that are under fire here for treatment services. Let's take a look at this addictions minister, who, this is a tricky one. So Pierre Poilievre came out and said yesterday that we should be, for minors and prisoners in Canada, right now, it's if you have a kid that's like 13 years old, 12 years old, 15 years old, who's addicted to drugs, as a parent, you don't have the legal grounds to force your child into a form of rehabilitation, to get them the help off of the drugs. And same with prisoners, right? The prisoners are protected, and they can still remain addicted to drugs, and there's no forced treatment. And Pierre Poilievre took a hard stance on this and said, yeah, no, let's get rid of that. That's absolutely stupid. And we're going to allow parental rights for the minors. And if prisoners are addicted to drugs, we're going to be able to force them to not be addicted to drugs and go to rehab. Now, this is something that is a little bit controversial, or has had a little bit of backlash on social media with kind of liberals, or radical liberals, I'd say. Freeland did talk for 3 minutes yesterday in just complete circles, and basically 3 minutes summarized into one sentence is she agrees with Pierre Poilievre. So does the addictions minister. They're just stuck between a rock and a hard place, because if they come out and say we agree fully with Pierre, then why would any person continue to support liberals, right? So they have to put their own little spin on it.
Voluntary treatment question again, because I do think that it's important to get a clear answer from you. You know, the NDP and the Conservatives in BC are both proposing this. They say that this is part of a bigger treatment plan, but that it is something that they feel is necessary based on the crisis there. So do you, as the minister, support involuntary treatment?
As I said before, and I'll reiterate again, before we contemplate voluntary or involuntary treatment, I would like to see provinces and territories ensuring that they actually have treatment access scale to need. They are not there yet. They have the resources and tools to do it. We are there to partner and collaborate with them to make sure that those systems are built out to meet the need and to meet the moment. And that is where my priority lies, is making sure that access to treatment is readily available in a timely manner, without wait times and without losing more lives.
So they agree. They agree. You'd have to be a little bit sadistic not to agree, especially for minors. Like, that's kind of crazy. But again, I mean, they can't come out right and say it, because why would they? Why would they want to publicly agree with the leader of the opposition? Like, come on, folks. Freaking drop the act, drop the crap, and just say, yes, we agree that that's a good idea. It's so freaking annoying that these people just always got to put their spin on it. And then you have the addictions minister that defends harm reduction approach to the drug crisis. Let's take a little look at this.
You talked about what you're hearing from stakeholders in terms of the harm reduction. You talked about drug testing. You talked about naloxone. Do you think Canada needs to expand its pharmaceutical alternative programs and or expand the number of supervised drug consumption sites, which are other harm reduction tools? Do you think that the country needs to expand kind of those two latter ones?
So I am a firm believer that harm reduction is healthcare. Harm reduction does include safe consumption sites. It is concerning to me that this is becoming part of a polarized debate, when we know that safe consumption sites just alone here have reversed 100,000 overdoses since 2016.
And imagine how many more overdoses would be reversed if we stopped paying for people's supply and we got them the help that they needed. It would probably be a phenomenal reaction across the board. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And then we're going to visit something that happened in the House of Commons earlier today, where they talk about the Jasper National Park wildfires. Now, this is something that's really started to surface because you have massive levels of incompetence by the Liberals that denied any help or any safe burnings that could reduce the impact if there were any forest fires. And it's all coming to light right now. This is wild, man. People should be in jail for letting that park burn.
For 7 years, the Liberals knew Jasper was a tinderbox. Damning testimony has proved the Minister of Environment's negligence. He failed to do everything he could to protect homes, business, and this beloved national park. To stop a raging wildfire, you need two things: remove the heat and apply water. We know beyond a doubt that the minister did neither. A tiny fraction of the dead trees were removed, and shockingly, firefighters were even turned away. How much incompetence does it take to get fired from this Liberal cabinet?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for his collaboration on the Environment Committee, where we have been hearing about the circumstances that led to the Jasper wildfire situation, Mr. Speaker. But however, I would like to point out that the over-politicization of this issue, the tabloidization of it, and what they're saying on social media has been absolutely unacceptable, Mr. Speaker. As a result of some of those tweets, there are public servants who receive death threats from people who are, enraged under these conservatives and their attempts to politicize this issue. Mr. Speaker, a natural disaster is not a political issue, and our government has done everything that we could to prevent the wildfire.
The Honourable Member from Portage-Lisgar.
The only thing that Liberals are good at is trying to deflect and distract from their own failures. So let me tell you the facts, Mr. Speaker, about the Jasper fire investigation. They knew about the risk for 7 years and failed to do everything that they could to mitigate it. 20 fire trucks and 50 firefighters were turned away. Parks Canada bought hydrants that didn't even have the proper hookups. It is clear that this fire was a result of negligence or incompetence. So when will the Minister of Environment be shown the door so that other at-risk communities don't face the same fate as Jasper has?
Here, here. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, the Jasper wildfire was started by lightning, and the people that live in Jasper underwent an incredibly difficult summer. And to politicize. Okay,
so I don't think I've really heard any denial of it not being started by lightning. That how it started is almost irrelevant. It's happened. But when it comes to proper forest management, you have forest management professionals go in and they do safe burns, controlled burns to prevent this from happening. It happens everywhere across the world. The Liberals have not done the right amount of safe burns, controlled burns to mitigate this. Now, they brag about the fact that they've done 12 or 15 controlled burns the past 7 to 10 years. They should have been doing that much per year. Like, this is insane. You have actual professionals that are saying this is horse crap what the Liberals are doing, and they're denying. And it's almost like this is why you see so many people saying, man, this is what they wanted. They wanted it to burn because they didn't take the right precautions to prevent it from getting to the point of where it did. It's very sad. It's very sad because we've lost one of our most prized national parks. But I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comments. And then we got to take a look at Justin Trudeau and what he's saying overseas at some press conferences here. This is where he's asked about China.
You had a chance to meet with some of your partners from the Five Eyes, Australia and New Zealand, and we understand that China came up as part of the discussion. What would you say is the biggest single threat your countries are facing from China, and how do you plan to mitigate it?
I think the issue of dealing with China is one that we've been grappling with over the past many years. There are issues in which we can and should be cooperating or coordinating with China. The Kunming Montreal COP15 on biodiversity last year was a good example of that, where the work that China and Canada did together brought together the Global South on a very ambitious measure to protect nature around the world. So there are ways in which we need to work with China as a significant global player. There are other ways in which we're going to need to compete with China for market access on critical minerals, on delivering the ingredients for a clean technology future that rely on rare earth elements and critical minerals that Canada has to offer, and we're developing those solutions so we can directly compete with China on supply chains that they've managed to corner over the past decades, but that our partners and countries around the world are increasingly needing to find diverse supply chains for. And then there are areas in which we are going to be directly contesting and challenging China. The continued interference in both diaspora communities and our democratic systems. The use of coercive diplomacy, for example, the unjustified detention of the two Michaels. These are things that we will continue to push back on and, of course, work together on as allies and partners around the world to make sure we're demonstrating the values and the principles for which we will always stand clear and strong.
I just friggin' don't even know if he even knows what the hell he is talking about. This is why people are so fed up with politics. It's just so annoying. You ask a question and you get a long soliloquy that is a non-answer. Man, oh man, this guy, like, I can't wait till he's gone. I can't wait till he's not the prime minister anymore. Here's another one here about a reporter asking how Justin Trudeau plans to get back on track amid a standstill, and his government refuses to hand over documents on sustainable development technology, Canada's misconduct to the RCMP.
You mentioned in the beginning that pharmacare passed. Right now, Parliament is in a bit of a standstill. How do you plan on getting things back on track in the House of Commons?
Our focus is on Canadians. The fact that pharmacare has made it out of Parliament means that now we get to do the work of bringing on board provinces and actually delivering free insulin for Canadians who are struggling making ends meet right now. We know that, for example, people who skip their insulin because they have to pay rent or they need to put food on their table face the risk of much more serious health outcomes. It can include blindness and amputations, at the same time as they end up costing much more to already stressed health systems. So delivering free insulin just makes sense to people who don't have coverage and can't afford it. That's what we're starting with. So I'm looking forward to signing deals rapidly with provinces over the coming months that's going to deliver this life-saving medication to Canadians who are in need. Similarly, we know women are increasingly challenged with the high cost of getting an IUD or getting prescription contraceptives. This will take the burden off of them in terms of family planning so that they can make the right choices for themselves and actually be able to have more money to spend on the things that we know are high cost right now. This is a measure moving forward on pharmacare negotiations with the provinces that will help Canadians in their health and help them in their pocketbook. But that's something we need to work on right now. That's something all parliamentarians, if they're listening to the constituents, should be working on. But it's certainly something that my government is going to stay focused on.
Like, you just spent 2 minutes talking about something that wasn't even the question. It's about the SDTC scandal and how the government is pretty much shut down or kind of frozen, and how, you know, he started out by saying we're working for Canadians. No, you're not. The government can't do anything, buddy. The government is locked down. They can't do anything. You pass pharmacare, sure. That's it. That's all that can happen. Nothing else is getting done because he's not working for Canadians. It's so disingenuous. And then he goes on and talks about how all the things that he has done and didn't even answer the question. Like, it's just so annoying. Oh my goodness. I almost need a bit of a detox from Parliament and from Canadian news, man. This guy just talks in circles and doesn't actually get anything done. I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comments. Are you fed up with Justin Trudeau? Do you think that it's time for an election? Do you think that even though Freeland has come out and said that proroguing the government is not on the table, do you think that it is an option? Let me know your guys' stance and your arguments down below in the comments. That's where we're going to end this video. If you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys to smash that like button and subscribe, and then turn that little bell notification on so you can stay notified. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.